If you're a woman over 40 and you have a history of low back pain, SI instability, or pelvic floor problems, chances are you are stuck in a postural pattern where your butt is back and your ribs are forward. This is why the core work, the alignment, the breathing, nothing's working. You have to reset your postural pattern first, and then all of those things will actually do what they're supposed to do and help you. In this video, I'm going to help you get out of that postural pattern. I'm going to show you what it looks like, what to do instead, where I got tripped up, the questions my students have. I'll teach you the breathing you're going to use during any type of core work you do. And then the next video to watch is a 10-minute core practice that'll help put all of this into your body. Now, this ribs forward, butt back postural pattern is a product of sitting too much and all of these really unhelpful postural cues we've gotten, like pull your shoulders back, and then things like high heels did not help us at all. So it's not your fault. Everything in the modern world is pushing you in this direction, and to reset, it will take some work and retraining. Get ready. The breathing for this is going to be in through your nose and then out through pursed lips like you're breathing through a straw. Do it with me. Inhale. Exhale. Keep going. Inhale. Imagine you're blowing out a lot of birthday candles and you want to take your time. You keep going. I'm going to give you more details. Now, sometimes people will exhale through their lips, but their lips will be sealed. You want the O shape. It matters. Again, inhale. Exhale fully and completely. Put your hands on your ribs. Keep going. You'll notice that the ribs pull in and down. You get that corset of the core. Do one more with me. Inhale. And it's at the bottom third of your exhale that you'll get the most corset of the core. You'll feel those front ribs come in and even drop down a little bit. And when you do that 10-minute core practice, breathe like this the entire time. It's slow, I know, which means it's excellent for your nervous system, and it will get your core online in a way that finally stabilizes your low back, gives your SI a little bit of a hug, and helps your pelvic floor lift up and in. So here's that butt back, ribs forward pattern. And I know many of you do this because you're trying to get the natural curve in your low back, but you're trying to get a very subtle curve here, and you're really using the ribs and pushing the ribs forward. And remember that the ribs are part of the thoracic spine, and its natural curve is kyphosis, a little bit rounded. And we'll get to that in just a moment. But this pattern also really locks up the psoas. If you feel like your psoas is chronically tight and a little bit angry, if your digestion's off, again, low back instability, SI instability, pelvic floor problems, all of this is related to this pattern here. So what do you do instead? Number one is you anchor the pelvis from the sitting bones. And that's gonna require some grounding. And the sitting bones are like the heels of the pelvis, and activation of the upper hamstrings near the attachments to the sitting bones. So it's up in here, not necessarily the belly of the muscle. And these muscles are almost like an underwire bra for the pelvis. They provide an abundance of support. Now, grounding through the sitting bones, I'm going to be very specific with my language. I think that is better, and I've seen it have better results for women than tucking the tailbone under. That cue is intended for a similar effect and result. For the female pelvis, because of the architecture of the bones, I just don't find it as effective because too many women go to tucking too much with the tailbone under. So then you go from the butt back, what's called an anterior tilt to the pelvis, to a posterior too much tucking under. And people do this because it helps them feel stable in the lower back. The butt is engaged, the low belly seems like it's lifted, but it takes the curve out of the lower back. So then we're back to get curve in your lower back. And so neither one of those really solve the instability in the lower back or the SI because you're not getting the pelvic floor online. To get the pelvic floor online, you need the rib cage and pelvis aligned so that respiratory diaphragm, pelvic floor diaphragm can talk and have their relationship of rhythm. So again, from that butt back, pelvis tilted position, if you ground the sitting bones, you'll have anchoring, and then the pelvic floor can have its natural spring. Just like a trampoline, you need it to be anchored for it to have that spring. And if our pelvis is tilted back or too far under, we don't have that anchoring we need for the pelvic floor to move fully and freely. The sitting bones will get you there. It will require strengthening your hamstrings, especially those upper attachments. We'll get to that in the practice. So pelvis, check. Next, ribs. We have the ribs forward, and you're going to do that breathing technique. Inhale through your nose. Exhale. Front ribs come in and down, and it's like that gap in between your ribs gets closed. Again, inhale. And some of you may be really wide with the rib cage, and when I do that, I actually feel a little bit of cramping, tensing in my mid back too. And then exhale. Front ribs come in and down. That's the corset of the core. Just like the anchoring of the pelvis will require you to work on hamstring strength, the corseting of the core, drawing the ribs in and down, will ask you to work on your upper abdominal strength and the side wall abdominals and even the intercostal muscles. Now, just like people tend to excessively tuck under to try to get the pelvis neutral, there's a tendency to roll the shoulders forward in an attempt to get the ribs back. And both the tucking under of the pelvis and the rolling of the shoulders forward is like a compensating pattern. We're trying to do the thing, do it right, do it well. So there's a good intention and effort there, but you're using the wrong muscles. You're using the big superficial muscles. You're doing kind of an exaggerated action with your bones. And then you're missing the smaller stabilizers that are needed to not only do this action, but to make it a default setting, to make this your postural pattern all the time, which is what we want, because then we're effortlessly and easily upright and solid and centered inside of ourselves. Again, hands on your ribs, kind of release, relax shoulders and neck muscles, and then exhale through the pursed lips. Front ribs in and down, no recruiting of the shoulders, also no excessively pulling them back. That'll put a whole nother level of strain on your upper body. Again, inhale, exhale. And a lot of students will feel like they're rounded forward here, but if you look at my posture from the side, from the front, you'll see that I'm very upright. I'm not rounded. If you've been stuck like this for a long time, this will feel strange. You'll actually feel like you're like this. So keep that in mind. Let's put it all together. One hand on your low belly, one hand on your sacrum, let your butt drift back a little bit, and then exhale, press your heels down, activate the hamstrings, draw the sitting bones down, and you're just going to feel like a little bit of length in the lower back and a little bit of lift in the low belly. Take an inhale here, and then exhale through the pursed lips, press your heels down, feel a little tone at the folds of the buttocks, and there will be a little bit of lift in the side wall abdominals and low belly region. Keep that, hands on your ribs, take an inhale. And when you keep the ribs in and down, your inhale will be in the back body and the side ribs, and then exhale through the pursed lips. Front ribs in and down. One more here. Exhale. Now, one hand on the front ribs, one hand on the sacrum, a little bit of back with your hand on the ribs, a little bit of down with your hand on the sacrum. Take an inhale. Exhale. One more. Now, this is a little bit tricky, but I know some of you are going to start struggling with the shoulders, the neck. So you're going to keep one hand on the low ribs, put one hand on the chest, kind of in between the collarbone and the top ribs. And you're going to inhale, fill up the ribs, front, back, side to side. Exhale, front ribs in and down, but no drag on the chest, no closing of the shoulder. And then on your next inhale, fill up this area of the chest like you're filling up a balloon, but don't let the ribs fly forward. And then exhale, ribs in and down, but the chest stays full. Do a few rounds of breathing like that. Inhale, fill up the ribs, fill up the chest like it's a balloon. Don't let the ribs fly forward. And then exhale, front ribs in and down, and the chest stays full. Now, this is a lot of subtle work, a lot of refinement. It requires focus, awareness, and patience, but so worth it, because this type of connection and core will make everything you do better, from yoga asana to Pilates, from running, cycling, strength training. Everything gets more power because you're more aligned and you have that stability of intra-abdominal pressure. So be patient, go slow, do the nitty-gritty work here so that you have that power and that unleashed potential in everything else that you do. Do the 10-minute core practice next. I'll see you there.